We're gonna make this video in one take. Let's do it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Gregory Agid here. Today, I wanted to share the top 10 mistakes you may be making on the clarinet. Let's dig into it. Let's go. That was good. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it. Before we start this video, I'm curious, what do you think are the top 10 most common mistakes clarinet players make? Drop your answer in the comments. Yo, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to share the top 10 mistakes you may be making on the clarinet. And I'm gonna attempt to make this video in one take. I have a tendency to shoot, reshoot, and get all in my head about these videos. So today, my attempt is to make it in one shot. And in order to calm my nerves, I'm hoping that we can take a cleansing breath together. And that way it'll be calming and we'll be ready to do this video. So we're gonna breathe in, we're gonna hold it for a moment, and then we're gonna breathe out together. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. We're gonna hold it for a second. And now we're gonna breathe out. And that's gonna lead me to the number 10 mistake you may be making on the clarinet. We're gonna keep the take, The number 10 mistake you might be making on the clarinet is that you're breathing from your lungs rather than breathing from your diaphragm. And one of the telltale signs that you're breathing from your lungs is if you saw when I took my breath, I kind of shrugged my shoulders and I puffed out my chest. So when you're doing those two things, that tells me that you're breathing from your lungs up, and you're not incorporating your diaphragm. When we're playing the clarinet or any wind instrument, it's really important that we learn to breathe from our diaphragm. And when your teacher or mentor may say something like support the air, that's often what they're referring to, is breathing from your diaphragm. And when you breathe from your lungs, you're only using a quarter of your body or so. You're just breathing from up here and you're not incorporating the rest of your body. So a quick way of learning how to breathe from your diaphragm is to take a deep breath without moving your shoulders, without puffing out your chest, and maybe place your hand on your stomach. Take a deep breath in and try and move your stomach outwards as you are breathing. So we'll take another deep breath and try and fill our diaphragm rather than filling from our lungs. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. When we breathe from our diaphragm, it's gonna help us play with supported air and create a more stable and more beautiful tone. Remember that the most important part of playing any wind instrument is learning how to breathe properly and support the air. So the number 10 mistake you might be making is that you're breathing from your lungs rather than breathing from your entire diaphragm and supporting the air from your diaphragm. The number 9 mistake you might be making on the clarinet is that your reed is too damn hard. And I'm gonna say that one more time. Your reed is too damn hard. A lot of us have this misconception that tells us that playing a harder reed is going to give us a better sound. And that's not always the case. The reed strength really depends on the mouthpiece that you're playing. And every mouthpiece is going to call for a different strength reed. The reed that I choose to use is going to depend on the mouthpiece because the reed and the mouthpiece work in conjunction. I currently play on a Van Doren M30 mouthpiece, and I'm playing on a Leger size 4 European cut reed. If I was to change my mouthpiece to the Van Doren B40, which is a little bit more open, I wouldn't even be able to make a sound on my Leger number 4 reed. So I would have to go down a strength of reed. So a lot of people, again, have this misconception that a harder reed is going to create a better sound, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you can actually achieve a better sound by going down a strength in reeds. So the number 9 mistake you might be making is that your reeds are too hard. Consider going down a strength, and that might solve some of your problems. The number 8 mistake you're making on the clarinet is that you're not rotating your reeds. Cane is an organic material, and when we're playing on the cane, we're putting a lot of stress on the material. It's vibrating really fast, and this is my imitation of the reed vibrating. And we're also putting a lot of moisture into the material. So when we play it, we're putting a lot of stress on the reed, and it's important that we give it a day or two to kind of resettle, to get the moisture out and kind of get the tip of the reed to settle back to whatever its natural resting place is. So it's very possible that if you play on the same reed every day, it'll get waterlogged or it'll just kind of get generally funky. So it's important to have maybe 5 or 10 reeds that you have in some type of rotation where you play a reed for a day and then you switch to the next reed and give the first reed a chance to kind of reset. What do I do if I play synthetic reeds? And I would say the same rule generally applies. I play on Leger European cut reeds, and I have 5 reeds that I circulate over a 5-day period. So I'll play on my reed 1 on Monday, I'll play on reed 2 on Tuesday, and so on. And I circulate these 5 reeds over the course of about 5 or 6 months. And again, the same thing is like I'll play a reed on one day, and again, playing on the reed is going to put a tremendous amount of stress on the tip of the reed. So it gives the material an opportunity to reset. So the number 8 rule is that please rotate your reeds and give your reeds a chance to reset, breathe, and just relax a little bit. The number 7 mistake that you're making on the clarinet is your reed placement. So reeds are very sensitive as to where you place them on the mouthpiece. And it's really important that you center the reed on the mouthpiece, that the reed is not tilted too much to the left, it's not tilted too much to the right, that the reed is actually aligned right down the center of the mouthpiece. In addition to the reeds being really sensitive to the centering of the reed, they can also respond differently based on how high or low you place them in relation to the tip of the mouthpiece. So let's say you place the reed just a millimeter below the tip of the mouthpiece. That's actually going to allow the reed to vibrate with a little bit less resistance. So if you feel like your reeds are just a tiny bit too hard, why don't you try pulling your reed down just a millimeter below the tip of the mouthpiece and see if that creates a little bit less resistance for you. Now, as you push the reed up on the mouthpiece, it's going to give you a little bit more resistance. So if you place the mouthpiece exactly even with the tip of the reed, you're going to have a little bit more resistance. And if you place the tip of the reed just a hair above the tip of the mouthpiece, that's going to give you the most resistance. Now, don't place it too far up the reed because that's going to sound funky. Take some time experimenting with the placement of the reed, whether you like playing with the reed just a little bit lower than the tip or right even with the tip or even just a hair above it. All of those options are going to create different resistance on the reed. So experiment with what you like best. The number 6 mistake I see on the clarinet is finger placement. And finger placement is so important on the clarinet because we have these open tone holes on the instrument. As you can see, right? We have open tone holes without any pads. Of course, there are a couple pads on the clarinet, but generally speaking, we're using our fingers to cover these holes. It's especially important that we're precise with our finger placement on the clarinet because if our fingers are not completely covering the holes, we are not going to create a full sound or it's going to result in us squeaking. So when we're covering our holes, we're going to be using the pad of our finger. It's this kind of like thick part of the finger right here. Am I still in focus? Yeah. We're going to be using this kind of pad part of the finger right here. It's really important that we're precise about placing the pad of our finger over the tone hole. So let's say that, we're placing our fingers over the tone holes like this. And if my finger just kind of moves even just that much, it's going to result in me squeaking or the sound kind of dissipating. And so just all these kind of like minute movements are very important to have awareness of. And so it's really important that at all times we're actually covering the tone holes of the clarinet with the pads of our fingers. A good way to find the proper finger placement is to actually have a seat, rest the clarinet in your lap and kind of have it leaning on your shoulder. And make sure that the clarinet is in a safe, comfortable position because you don't want to drop it. And when you're holding the clarinet, I want you to take the pads of your fingers and place them over the tone holes without rolling your fingers around the clarinet. Just kind of take the pads of your fingers and place them over the tone holes. And once you have all of your fingers placed on the tone holes, you can roll your hand around the clarinet to get your thumbs to hold it with the thumb rest. And it's important to start with placing the pads of your fingers over the tone holes because we're prioritizing the pad placement over the placement of our thumb. Another thing that you should be aware of is your placement of the thumb on the thumb rest. And a lot of times young musicians build the bad habit of placing their thumb rest too close to their hand, as opposed to placing it closer to their fingernail on the thumb. Generally speaking, you want the thumb rest to be closer to the fingernail than your actual hand. The number 5 mistake that you might be making on the clarinet is that you're playing the clarinet at the wrong angle. And so part of creating a great clarinet tone is finding the right angle for your clarinet embouchure. And I don't mean that you want to play it at a right angle, like that kind of right angle, but we want to find the correct angle that works best for our embouchure so that we can create the best tone. Depending on how we angle the clarinet in our embouchure, it's going to create a little different of a tone. So generally speaking, we want to play the clarinet at a 45-degree angle. We want to make sure that we're sitting up straight, our chin is parallel to the ground, and then we place the clarinet into our embouchure at about a 45-degree angle. Another bad habit that I see a lot of people make is that they're looking down when they play the clarinet like this. And when we look down, it's artificially creating a different angle on the clarinet. So if I'm looking down and playing the clarinet, it looks like this. When I'm looking down and playing the clarinet, I'm actually playing the clarinet at a 90-degree angle. And in addition to looking down impacting the angle of the clarinet, it also cuts off your airflow right here. So it's important that we're sitting up straight and our chin is parallel with the ground so that we can optimize our airflow, and we can also play the clarinet at the perfect angle for our embouchure. The number 4 mistake that you're making on the clarinet is that you're playing with a scrunched up chin like this. Playing with a scrunched up chin tells me that there's upwards pressure on the reed. And then when we have upwards pressure on the reed, that actually closes the reed and allows the reed to not vibrate as freely as possible. So what we want to do is actually play with a flat chin. And when we're playing with the flat chin, that tells me that there's downwards pressure on the chin, and that's actually helping us optimize the vibration of the reed. A good way to practice this is to pretend that you have a string on your chin and just kind of pull your chin down like this. It may take some time to break the habit of playing with a scrunched up chin, and this is a great opportunity to practice in front of a mirror so that you can see exactly what your chin is doing. And every time your chin scrunches up, just go ahead and pull the chin down. When the clarinet's in your mouth, you can also think about kind of rolling your bottom lip down the reed a little bit. When I roll my bottom lip down the reed, it creates a flat chin. The number 3 mistake you're making on the clarinet is your tongue position. And again, we're playing a woodwind instrument, and the thing that's most important in the production of sound is airflow. So our tongue actually impacts the airflow into the instrument. I want you to imagine a garden hose, and you're going to turn the water on and just let the water flow out of the hose. And when that happens, the water just kind of plops out. Now, if we place our thumb at the end of the garden hose, all of a sudden it's going to create back pressure and the water will just kind of shoot out. And we haven't changed the pressure of the water. We've just created more resistance so that the water just shoots out a lot more rapidly. Our tongue kind of mimics our thumb on the garden hose. If we play with a low tongue, the air would just kind of plop out. But if we raise our tongue in the back of our mouth, it's going to accelerate the air out of our mouth and into the clarinet. There are 2 syllables that'll help you find the proper tongue position, and that will be she or e. So if you say she, you can see that your tongue raises and kind of touches your top 2 molars. And that will help you get a raised tongue position. Or you can also say E. 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 So my tongue is touching my back molars, and that's helping accelerate the air into the clarinet. The number 2 mistake that you're making on the clarinet is that you're not listening to enough great clarinet players. And this is an essential part of becoming a musician. You know, we have to inform our subconscious, we have to inform our soul, we have to inform our mind of what is possible on the instrument. We have to listen to great tones, great techniques, and great perspectives of how to play the instrument. And when we do that, we can start developing a palette of things that we like, a palette of things that we don't like. And so when we listen to a variety of clarinet players or a variety of instruments and sounds, we can essentially begin developing a palette of sounds and techniques that we want to incorporate into our own playing. So we can take something from player A that we like, we can take a little something from player B, we can take a little something from player C, and those 3 things will essentially be assimilated into our subconscious, into our mind's internal ear. And those 3 characteristics essentially will combine to create a unique sound. Remember, y'all, music is an oral tradition, so it's essential that we listen to as much music as possible. And when we input all of these great sounds into our being, it's going to enter our subconscious and rearrange and reconnect in a unique way to us. And when I play, I'm going to be presenting you my perspective on all of these great musical things that I've inputted into myself. Remember, when I play, I'm just telling you, hey, this is my perspective on music. So again, an essential part of that process is listening. So don't forget to listen to as many great players as possible. All right, y'all, we finally made it to number 1. So let's get a little drum roll here. Nice drum roll, right? The number 1 mistake that you're making on the clarinet is that you're practicing too fast. I'm going to say that one more time, and I'm going to say it really slow to exaggerate it. The number 1 mistake you're making on the clarinet is that you're practicing too fast. Learning to practice slow is such an important skill. When we're practicing, we're essentially training ourselves to do something a certain way. And if we're practicing too fast, we can often pick up a lot of bad techniques and a lot of bad habits along the way and essentially practice something incorrectly. And then we're reinforcing bad habits. So we're actually practicing mistakes when we practice too fast. And when we slow things down, it allows us the opportunity to focus, to take our time and really focus on what we're doing in that moment. What notes we're playing, how our breath is, how our embouchure is, how the music is coming out of us. And learning how to slow things down, learning how to focus, that's going to really, really, really make your practicing and your growth happen exponentially quicker than if we practice things too quickly and practice things wrong. When we practice something slowly, we're essentially taking a magnifying glass and looking at the little intricacies of how we're doing something. And it's important to remember that music is proportional. I'm going to say that one more time because it's really important. Music is proportional. So whether we're practicing something at 60 BPM or 80, 100, 200, 300, 5,000, the proportions are always going to remain the same. So when we practice something slowly, we're magnifying the proportions, and it allows us more time and space to focus on the nuance and the intricacies of how we're doing something. And that becomes a little more challenging as we speed up. When we do something really slowly, we're building up muscle memory. We're training ourselves through repetition to do something a certain way. And that becomes a little more challenging as we speed things up. If we can learn to do things on a high level, very slow, those proportions will continue to travel with us, whether we're playing at 60, 80, 100, or 5,000. So remember, music is proportional. And if you can learn to do something really slow with a high level of focus and a high level of execution, that same focus should be translated to 100 and quicker tempos. So learn to do things slow. Take your time, relax, enjoy the process. The best part of playing music is the process, right? The process of learning, the process of listening, the process of self-growth. So when we can really embrace the love and passion for the process, that's going to allow us to focus on the little things. It's going to allow us to take things slow because we're not fixated on how fast can I do this? How quickly can I play this? How quickly can I learn to do this? It's not about that. All of that stuff will come. But when we can enjoy the process, we can just have fun taking our time and being with ourselves as we learn new things. Practicing slowly can make us much more efficient in our practice process. So rather than playing something really fast and really wrong 150 times, take a step back, play something really slow, really focused, and maybe you only have to play it once or twice to really internalize how to play it correctly, rather than practicing it 100 times incorrectly and never making any of that progress. Y'all, practice slow, enjoy the process, take your time, be with yourself, be with the instrument, be with the music, and enjoy the process of growth, enjoy the process of learning, and enjoy the process of playing music. It's a beautiful thing. So those are the top 10 mistakes you're making as a clarinetist. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching my video. That's my list of the top 10 mistakes that you're making as a clarinet player. And as always, please hit the subscribe button, give me a like, and please leave a comment. I'm curious, what do y'all think of my top 10 list? Do y'all agree with my top 10? And do you all have a better top 10? What is your top 10 mistakes clarinet players make? Drop it in the comments. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.